What's going on, CDL fans? Let's go through all the Rostermania updates we have, and I'll give you my thoughts on them. And as always, if you want to skip ahead to certain parts, you can use the timeline or the timestamps in the description. And just a quick heads up, I will be live Thursday, April 4th at 7 p.m. Central Time, going through my player tier list for Major 2, as well as I like to do a community tier list. So after I make mine, you guys will talk in chat and tell me where you want to rank players for your own community list. But now that that's out of the way, let's talk a bit about these moves. So we'll kick it all the way back to last week, where the rumors were of Seattle Surge looking to replace Arcitys and HAVOK. Now, obviously, we know Arcitys is a free agent. The whole HAVOK thing ended up being more of just a rumor, but it's looking like 04 was the player expected to be replacing Arcitys on the Seattle Surge team. And then we also got to hear, I believe this was last night, Arcitys is going to be teaming with Gunless Dak and Classic in Challengers. So it'll be interesting to see what iLLeY does down in Challengers, but I still think Arcitys is a guy that can have a successful time and be on a successful team right now in the CDL. But I do think his mentality's definitely been down bad the last couple of years, but I do wish him all the success. I want to see this guy back on a team that's actually competing at events. But with this Challengers team, we'll see how they end up doing, and we will see how 04 does on this Seattle team. I don't know a lot about 04. Obviously, he won the most recent Challengers event in Miami. I don't think many people know a lot about this guy, so it'll be cool to see kind of how he fits in onto this roster. Then we move on to the Boston Briefs side of things, and now these guys, I don't know what's going on over here on the Boston camp. Asim, they dropped Asim, they dropped SlasheR, and they also got rid of their assistant coach, Josh. So they got rid of 3 people in their organization, obviously 2 players from the starting lineup. On the note of Asim, I mean, this guy, I don't know if is he getting scapegoated? I don't know what happened here. I don't think there's any world in which Asim should have been dropped. I thought he actually was pretty good. We know what Asim's capable of, right? Obviously, he can be a player with some inconsistencies, but I thought Asim was good. I thought he was their best player at Major 2 on land. So I definitely don't know why he got dropped. And then same thing with SlasheR. Honestly, I thought, if anything, the other 2 players were going to be the ones who got dropped on this team. I thought it would be Snoopy and Priesta. That's what a lot of people were talking about, and that's what I, too, was saying about this team. But they're getting rid of Asim and Priesta, or Asim and SlasheR. Maybe they still make a move and they get rid of Priesta, or whatever the case may be. But it is rumored that Pentagram and Beans are going to be the players replacing Asim and SlasheR on this team. Pentagram is a guy who has been on sub spots on rosters, has been doing good in Challengers for years. Finally going to get a chance in a starting lineup, which is really, really cool. And then Beans, obviously we saw on Boston last year. I think Beans is still pretty good. I think maybe him with Priesta on the team in front of him as an AR could be pretty good, although I don't think SlasheR and Asim had to be the guys to go on this team. I definitely don't agree with these moves. For the coaching situation, I couldn't tell you much about Josh, I'm not going to lie to you, but if they feel like they need to get rid of him as one of their assistant coaches, I guess you go for it. But the fact that they got rid of Asim and SlasheR doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but they're betting on Snoopy. They obviously still believe in Priesta. I mean, he won half the events last year with New York, so he is a very winning player in recent years, so maybe it makes some sense, but I'm very interested to kind of see what happens with them. And then on the note of Asim, he's already returned to FC Black to team with Exceed Brack and Rex. So Asim back to FC Black. I'm sure he's going to do great things down there. Definitely interesting to see. The fact that he's already returned either means he's not getting many calls from CDL teams, or he doesn't think he's going to get any, so he made his move into Challengers quick. We haven't heard anything about SlasheR. I would imagine we see SlasheR on a team at some point again this season. If not, at some point in the next week, we see someone pick him up. I still think SlasheR is a very good player who should be on a CDL roster. I mean, same thing with Asim, but obviously SlasheR, I think, really opens up Rostermania. I've seen people talking about maybe someone like LA Thieves bringing him in to enable Ghosty to be a faster AR. I've seen people talking about bringing him in to pair alongside Clayster in the Carolina Royal Ravens camp. I do think we see SlasheR on a team, and I'm very much excited to see what happens with him. Now to talk about the Minnesota ROKKR. Vivid announced he was a free agent. The rumor was, and I'll show this here, that iLLeY and Standy are going to be replacing Awakening and Vivid on the Minnesota ROKKR. I don't believe Awakening officially announced he's a free agent, and I don't believe the team have officially announced that Vivid or Awakening are dropped. It will be interesting. I mean, Vivid announcing he's a free agent is obviously good enough. I mean, if he said it on his own Twitter, I believe it. This is what really stands out to me about this. Standy, haha, funny, good pun. It's iLLeY, man. It's iLLeY on this team. Obviously, we know nothing officially about what happened with iLLeY on the Seattle Surge. The fact that it's surprising, maybe it shouldn't be surprising, because like I said, we don't know anything. But Surge kind of just deleted him from everything. They almost pretended like iLLeY never even played for them, which was kind of weird. They never talked about it. iLLeY hasn't said anything. No players or coaches have really said anything. So the fact that he's possibly coming into this Minnesota team makes it interesting, because we kind of all were led to believe that it was like a behind the scenes thing, you know, whether or not he was suspended from the league or it was personal reasons that Seattle wasn't letting him play. But if he's able to come over to the Minnesota ROKKR, there must have been more behind the scenes with Seattle that hopefully we do end up finding out about. But like I said, if he's coming to Minnesota, he's obviously not suspended. And then Standy coming in, we've seen what Standy can do. He obviously gets dropped and the team ends up getting better. So maybe Minnesota are just going to drop him to get the Standy buff. But obviously we know Standy has been on Minnesota and has success with them in the past as a rookie. So he obviously has some love from this organization. So it'll be cool to see him back in Minnesota. But obviously we all know Awakening had to get dropped. I thought Vivid was kind of the next guy up if they wanted to make a two-person change, so I'm not necessarily surprised by who they dropped. I still think Vivid is good enough to be on a CDL team. We'll see if he gets picked up. He might be a player who needs to run in challengers a little bit. Same thing with Awakening, though. Awakening might be a good player that if you put him in the right system could still succeed, but he looked pretty bad in MW3, so we'll wait to see what happens with him. But overall, I actually really like this. I think iLLeY with Lamar is going to be a really good AR duo. I think iLLeY really makes up for the slaying in a way that I thought Awakening was going to. Standy and Linz might be interesting. I don't know necessarily that either of them is a fast-paced like entry SMG. Maybe they're just going to tell Standy or they're just going to tell Linz to go rogue and do whatever they want, which could be interesting. I'd love to see Linz in a role where he's just busting through doors, making plays, kind of like Vivid does, because Linz obviously has some crazy gunny. But I'm excited to see this team. I think this is the biggest move we've seen, the biggest moves, and I think this actually makes ROKKR a team that can contend for maybe another top 4 this year. And then I wanted to touch on some of these CDL cards. Let me actually start off with Toronto Ultra. I mean, over here, Scrappy, another 99 card. His teammates really just kind of let him down this split. You obviously want to see the team, playing as good as Scrap. I mean, only a 0.95 in SND too for Scrap, but the guy is in kills per 10 minutes and damage per 10 minutes. This guy is up there in every single category, if not the best in every single category. For OPTIC, Texas, I mean, Shotzi played incredible. The big standout here is Pred, all the way down at 82. Like I said, I'm excited to do my player tier list on Thursday night in just a couple days. I've seen some people saying Pred should be A tier. I've seen some people saying Pred should be B tier. We'll see where I end up putting him. But Pred was not necessarily the greatest in Major 2. And then for the Atlanta FaZe cards, I mean, look at these guys, all above a 90, 2 99s. I saw a lot of people like, how is Draza 99? Draza got carried, this and that. Guys, Draza is an incredible player. I know at the Major, Simp was amazing, Cell was amazing, Abizi was amazing. Obviously, Draza was very good at the Major as well. But especially in the online stage, Draza was probably FaZe's best player for a couple weeks. And I feel like people tend to forget that. This guy, Draza, is incredible. I mean, all 4 of these guys are super, super good. Hence why they won the Major. And I'm excited to kind of see how these teams play into Major 3, because we might be getting a map change. As you can see here, Vista Hardpoint is being added to the CDL rotation and is going to replace either Subbase, Skid Row, or Invasion. Now, a lot of people in these comments want it to be Invasion. I'm not going to scroll down too far, and Twitter replies get insane. But a lot of people want it to be Invasion. Honestly, I kind of feel like it's going to end up being Subbase or Skid Row. I think people know Invasion's at least like a somewhat solid map, whether it might be boring to watch and it might have some crazy spawns. I could see it replacing maybe Subbase or Skid Row, but we also have Invasion in every single game mode. So if it does just replace that, that could be cool. And then on top of that, I'm actually going to do this real quick. I believe the rotation was tweeting this out earlier. It might have been Jacob Hale. Here's some of the other maps. These maps aren't really worth talking about, like the rotation said, but Tank could be a map that we see in HP or SND. 6 stars, another one that people are saying looks like Raid, which I really hope that these teams actually practice and scrim these maps. Please, for the love of God, if any CDL player or someone in the organization is listening to this video, please just scrim these maps. I'm begging you, man. We want to see some new maps. I'm sure you guys want to play some new maps. And for the bottom teams or the teams that are, not in the top 4, this could be a way for you to catch up and have a good springboard into Major 3 if you can get good at these new maps early. So please test these. Please give us something new to play. It'd be interesting to see. Maybe they can make some changes, right? This 6-star hill is in the pool, which I know a lot of people are complaining about already. But if they can maybe make some changes, maybe you move this hill over here. You move this hill maybe back a little bit. You move like this hill. I don't know. You move some hills over. You get this one out of the pool. I do really think that this map could be good for competitive play, and I do hope we see it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little Rostermania update breakdown video. Let me know your thoughts on some of these moves, some of these new maps, and what you're most excited for about Major 3. Like I said, we will be live on Thursday night. I hope to see you all there, 7 p.m. Central Time. And I do believe we're going to be live tomorrow night on Wednesday with Around the CDL, our latest episode with my co-hosts Alex and Preston doing the podcast here on YouTube. So if you are interested in seeing either of those live streams, make sure you sub to the channel. I appreciate the support. I would love to hit 5K subs. So I hope you guys enjoy the content. And with all that being said, hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.